Welcome into Northside Territory, Foul Territory Network's Cubs podcast. I'm Sahadev Sharma with my partner Patrick Mooney. We are your Cubs beat writers over at The Athletic. Patrick, you are in LA enjoying some Cubs baseball. Uh, there's been a lot of discussion lately. This is because the commissioner was talking. I believe, was he at a Little League World Series game, or was it at where
I
was
believe
he
it
at?
was he was yes in Williamsport. I believe it was Sunday Night Baseball, and it was kind of
Oh,
a classic Manfred moment of just kind of being asked a general question, and uh, you know, Manfred has this way of just kind of like creating news, not just because of his position, but also because some of the skepticism around his office at times, and also just this moment coming up when you have a labor deal about to expire after 2026, like the local TV model sort of blowing up, and Manfred, towards the end of his final term here, has talked about kind of retirement plans and where baseball wants to go, which is such an interesting moment that you know realignment is just one of those things that gets into people's heads. It's a great, like, just great fodder, great content.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fascinating. I think expansion is fascinating.
Yeah,
Um,
man.
I
Yeah.
distinctly remember the expansion years in the 90s. Like, it was really interesting to me, even as a kid. Uh, and now, I'm fascinated to see what direction they go, assuming Las Vegas is locked in place. They had very, I don't know if you want to call it groundbreakings. It was supposed to be a groundbreaking ceremony, but it seemed like very, a ceremonial rather than official, in my opinion. But I just don't fully trust what's going on in Vegas yet until like I
Not at
see
all.
like
Yeah.
yeah, until I see steel beams and like everything like actually built, and even then I'm gonna wonder like what's going on. It just feels weird. Tampa finally feels a little settled now that they've sold the team. Once that gets official, everything's done there. It sounds like this guy has some connections. He's a Jacksonville resident, but wants to keep them in Tampa. I think that'd be great for the city of Tampa. I think that'd be great for the team. We'll see where that goes. It sounds like Rob Manfred's always said like, let's get those finalized and done, and then we expand. Uh, and then with that is going to come realignment. You're going to have 16 and 16. Everyone assumes four teams in four divisions in each league. Uh, our buddy Steven Nesbitt, I thought nailed it with
Yeah. Yeah.
realignment. What you need to happen is either Nashville or Charlotte. I think everyone assumes it's Nashville, and then Portland or Salt Lake City, maybe Vancouver, something like that. You need a West Coast and you need a more East team, and then he kind of got realignment. I looked at this and I'd seen some others, and I was like, okay, you're tearing apart leagues, you're tearing apart rivalries. Um, this kind of keeps everything in place. A little bit of a shakeup of leagues. Each league has a new team, and each league has a kind of a ragamuffin division, I would say. But the rest seems really smart and well thought out. I'm looking at these teams, and it keeps a lot of the main rivalries in place.
Which means it's probably not going to happen, right? In Major
Yeah,
League
yeah, exactly.
Baseball's endless hunt for efficiency has created, I think, some natural and understandable skepticism. Like, what are we doing here? Uh, because I think most people who care about baseball understand, like, you can't break up Giants, Dodgers, Yankees, Red Sox, Cubs, Cardinals. Um, I still think there's a big benefit to, like, you know, having like your National League team and your American League team. Like, I think that's like how, enough people think. that it's kind of nice to keep that. I don't think we need the Cubs and White Sox to play 12 times a year. I think that would get old pretty fast. I think you have to, I'm just pulling up so that our listeners know exactly what we're talking about here in terms of what it would look like for the Cubs. So the Nesbitt plan, which is very similar to Jason Stark's plans, would have the Cubs, Reds, Brewers, and Cardinals in an NL North division, which I think would make a ton of sense. It's funny too how the Brewers have become such a great rival to the Cubs. That rivalry just keeps growing and growing and growing. I think you gotta keep that together. Reds, another long time historic rival here. So I think this plan would kind of do the least amount of harm. I don't know if harm's the right word, but it's kind of more of a measured take to it, and not doing like Eastern and Western conferences like to satisfy some streaming company while alienating generations of baseball fans. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, no, I think I mean, if the league sees this and doesn't say like that makes a ton of sense, I don't know what they're thinking. You should really check out this piece because it kind of it even has the visuals, so you don't even if you don't want to read the whole thing, you don't have to. You can get all the information. I feel like Seattle would benefit so much from having these changes and having a new team closer to them, and then just not having to travel to Texas all the time. Like what a disaster that is for that team. Every year they travel way too much. It kind of like the teams that are moving that like Colorado would league change. Not a lot of history. It's okay. Tampa Bay would league change. It's okay. We can survive this. If you can survive the Brewers changing leagues, we can survive. And the Brewers in Houston changed leagues, right? Yeah, that's what it was. I think people can survive Tampa Bay and Colorado changing leagues. I think the one rivalry that you may lose out on in this plan would be Atlanta shifting to this new, I guess it would be NL South division, and they'd be with the Marlins, Rays, and the new Nashville or Raleigh team. Yeah, Atlanta has a solid rivalry with the Mets and the Phillies. I think it's okay. I think you keep the Mets and Phillies together. I think that matters. And then obviously the Cubs, Cardinals, Reds. I think those are the three. You lose the Pirates, it's fine. They go back to the NL East where they were back in the late 80s, early 90s, as we remember. Well, us old people, Patrick and myself. I don't know. I think it's fun. I love this stuff. I'm excited to see where it goes as far as what's next for the expansion and when it actually happens. It's going to happen. Like these are the types of things that it's like balls and strikes. These things are going to happen, and it's just a matter of time. Patrick, let's take a quick break and come back and talk about. I forgot what we were going to talk about, but you'll remind me.
The dog days of summer means it's time for the boys of summer to kick it into gear, and the best way to cash in on your baseball IQ is with DraftKings Sportsbook. Never bet on baseball before? It's simple. Pick a guy to go yard, hammer some live odds mid-game, or just ride with your squad and hope for the best. No spreadsheets, just vibes and dingers. Here's something special for first-timers. New DraftKings customers bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code FOUL. That's code FOUL for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY at 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio.
All right, we were talking about the starting pitching. That's what I wanted to talk about. This is going to full disclosure. We're recording on a Friday, and this will publish on a Saturday. So I don't know what happens Friday night. I don't know who's pitching yet. I don't think that's been announced unless we got a text recently. They need to figure that out because they had 5 games in 4 days. maybe it's Ben Brown, whatever it is. Cade Horton, that's a bit of news that I don't think we talked about on the podcast yet, but he's fine. It sounds like he's making his start Saturday. Cade Horton is good to go. That's a big deal for this team. This starting pitching has been remarkable, Patrick. Jameson Taillon came back, pitched 6 brilliant innings after looking really shaky in that first inning, and then just locked it in. Stabilizing force for the rotation. Shota Imanaga, another guy that I didn't think he looked great the first couple innings on Thursday, and then locked it in. Made one mistake, and that's it, and locked it in. Matthew Boyd didn't have his best start, still having a great season. You have 3 guys like that. You have Cade Horton breaking out, and Colin Ray. I got to give him a ton of credit as well. I was ready to kick him out of the rotation. I think a lot of people were. Just a really steady presence, great veteran ad. The Cubs deserve a lot of credit for making sure they have the depth because they needed it. They needed it all season long. And to lose Justin Steele for the season, to be without Jameson Taillon and Shota Imanaga for a month and a half, I think it was like 6 to 8 weeks for each of them. And to have such a good starting rotation ERA, in fact, since June 24th, it's like nearly a third of a run better than anyone in baseball. I want to say I wrote it was 3.01 ERA since June 24th. It was around there, 3.01, low threes, very almost 3. I don't think we've given enough credit to this pitching. I don't know how long it lasts. I don't think what happened has happened, and that's what matters. They've made sure that this team hasn't had while everyone is up in arms about the offense, they've made sure that the team hasn't sunk in the sense that they still lead the NL wildcard race and are one of the best teams in baseball, record-wise.
Yeah, this feels like one of those things as soon as you like talk about it and sit down and write that story, like 2 or 3 players are going to get hurt or something like that. But, it is big to have Taillon back. I think a way to kind of think about him, like in any work environment, in any company, like he is just the guy who gets his stuff done, is totally dependable, is on time, he stays late, he gets there early, just all of those things like he brings on a daily basis. And that doesn't necessarily wow you all the time. Like, is he starting game 7 of a World Series? Like, maybe not your first choice, but in terms of like building a good team and having some dependability, he'd be, at or near the top of that list. And, the silver lining, Council's been asked about this, Taillon has, of just maybe he's a little more fresh for the stretch run. I mean, that's not really how he looks at it because has the track record, of durability. He's been built up. But I don't know. You have to kind of, play the season in front of you and find the positives. I mean, Shota, as Council said, might have knocked like 50 innings off his innings total for this year because of that earlier injury, which was not an arm injury, which makes you feel, actually neither one of them was, that kind of makes you feel a little better about the kind of projectability going forward down the stretch. And like, yeah, I mean, it's at that point where right now, like the pitching is going to have to carry them until this offense kind of figures out. And you just hope that the offense doesn't figure things out and then 3 or 4 guys are sidelined and you're totally scrambling. And that's what I think this West Coast trip will be interesting. It's never easy to come out here. You got a Coors Field series at the end of this, even though that team is terrible. It's just one of those places where no one wants to pitch. So I'll be interested to see how they kind of map out the innings puzzle, as Mr. Council would say, on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, they're playing 3 losing teams. I think Colorado just no, they did not win the series against the Dodgers. They took just one, I believe. But like you said, it's tough to play in Colorado. San Francisco has talent. They're not playing well at all.
No.
But I just don't like those.
They played bad at home too.
Yeah, I just don't like those series against teams that have talent, though. Even though they're not playing well, you just never know. You don't know when Rafael Devers will have a 3-game set where he just goes off. Whatever. They have good players. They're not performing well enough. Obviously, that's a disappointing team after the moves they've made. And then Anaheim or the Angels, maybe I don't even know who's on that starting staff. I don't know like many of their players. That's a team that I just has been off my radar so far, off the radar. I don't think Kyle Hendricks is pitching this weekend, but you'll get a chance to say hi to him. Outside of that, I don't know what's going on in Los Angeles.
I mean, just the total state of Major League Baseball. The probable pitchers is TBD for both the Cubs and Angels for all 3 series. So that is, Manfred ball and kind of laptop ball of just, out-getters and innings puzzles. And, hey, maybe I'll bump into Kyle Hendricks and say what's up. Things like
that. So, I mean, yes, the pitching has carried them, made sure that they haven't fallen apart. I think that's one of those things also, like I was looking at the numbers, they're not going to get love. This isn't a star-studded rotation. This isn't these aren't like strikeout guys. And I prefer strikeout guys, but they don't have them. And I think it goes to show we know this, there are different ways to find success. You don't have to be a strikeout guy. But the Cubs have built something as far as they have a really good defense. I think they have really good game planning. They deserve credit for those things because the pitching on paper should not be as good as it is as the results they're getting. That's how, that's what baseball people would say. I think that's what like WAR numbers say. The starting pitching during this stretch of really good baseball, even that WAR has the middle of the pack, while the ERA has them best in baseball. And they're getting the job done. They're really good at missing barrels, not as good at missing bats. They're really good at limiting walks. They don't give up the big hit as much. So, credit to them. Really well put together staff. We'll see if it holds up. I think you're right. Like you're just going to have to, you're going to be holding your breath. If this offense turns, and maybe it gets a spark over these next 10 days because you want to see. I do think Wrigley Field can have when the wind is blowing in. I do wonder what type of mental impact when you're already struggling offensively that has. Maybe getting out in West Coast. It's supposed to be hot in Anaheim. And then obviously it's always good offense in Colorado. San Francisco's weird, but we'll see. We'll see if things turn around, but the pitching has to keep it up for a little bit because and let this offense figure things out. And maybe that's the benefit they've had the pitching to allow them to get through this speed bump. All the more pressure on the offense to get going though, because I don't think either of us really feel as much credit as I want to give them. I just don't know what I'm going to see going forward. It's not that type of staff where it's like these guys are locked in. I like Shota a ton, stable guys like Jameson Taillon. I don't know how much more Matthew Boyd has. I want to believe. He's forced us to believe in a sense, but also it's like, can he keep that up for the rest of the season? But they've done a yeoman's work so far. Let's take a quick break and talk about, I guess, where this team is and what our expectations are for the rest of the season.
Okay, Kratz, I opened up Arena Club, put my own money in there. And I wasn't going to go big. I know we went over the Ruby pack a week ago. This time, I just went for the low-level pack where it's an easy entry point, $25. You can get yourself a big boy card. The Grail has many good options. I slice open the pack. We're looking at it if you're watching us right now. And I pull a card from the 1950s. Super cool. I enjoyed the experience looking at it. It's Jim Gilliam. It's a top set from the mid-50s. It's cool. It's a Brooklyn Dodger, but it's worth more than the card. Like I said, I'm going to sell it back. I got $28 instantly, so I can buy another one of those packs and try and get what I want.
Absolutely. The excitement, I heard Kip say it before, the excitement's in the chase. You sold it back. Now you get to open another one. I enjoy when you slide it across the screen there and the pack opens.
You know where to go. arenaclub.com/foul. 20% off your first slab pack or card purchase. Get after it.
All right, Patrick. I think a month and a half ago, you and I were both saying, this team wins the division, or has a really good chance to win the division, and is one of the best teams in baseball. Maybe it's that feeling of the last Thursday game, but it's going to be really hard to win this division. It's going to take kind of a miracle run. This looks like a wild card team right now. I don't know if that's a terrible thing. That's not a knock on the talent of the team or how good they are. It's just what's happened and how the season's played out in this insane Milwaukee run that they've had.
I mean, we're recording on Friday morning, and Baseball Reference gives the Brewers a 95.9% chance to win the division. The Cubs at 4.1%. Not winning the division would be a disappointment, at least in the moment. And then it becomes, what can you do in October? Can you make it into October? Because I don't know. I don't look at the Brewers as like, oh man, you do not want to face them in the playoffs, but taking that 3-game wild card series off the table is a big deal. That's basically what Council has said of like, you have to get in, but the goal is one of those top 2 seeds. So you can kind of sit out the sort of randomness of a 3-game series. And right now it's not impossible for the Cubs, but it's not really in their control. Looking at the Brewers' schedule, it's like the Cubs obviously have to take care of business on the West Coast, but they have a 7-game homestand against the Giants and Diamondbacks, which looked a lot harder a month or two ago. Then they go to Toronto, which won't be easy. Then they have the Phillies at home starting on Labor Day. So it's like, I don't know, can the Cubs make up a couple games during that stretch to like at least make things interesting? But they really can't just keep, having weeks go off the calendar without putting a dent in that division lead. And at the same time, like, they can't ease up, you know what I mean? Like, I know like the Mets have not played well, the Padres are playing really well. The Reds have played better, and the Reds get the Cubs a bunch of times. Like, I don't think they can just like skate into the wild card here. So I think you have to, in Council's words, just kind of like embrace it, bring it on, man. Whatever he was saying, the Major League schedule is challenging and no one in there is scared of it. That's how Council framed it, and that's how you have to look at it.
Yeah, no, I like the mentality. Take on what's brought your way. They're up for the challenge. All that stuff is great. I do think fans have kind of at times lost the plot with the team. I am not going to pretend that the offense isn't a concern for me. It has gotten to a point now that it's too long of not coming through. I wonder, like, will they get? I do believe they'll find their rhythm again, but it's really hard to believe after games like Thursday. Fans could be listening to this on Saturday after a breakout performance Friday night in Anaheim. I don't know, but I just like those types of these games where just it seems listless. You're just waiting for things to wake up and for the offense to show that spark that we know it's capable of. But all that said, top 5 team in isolated power. That's just an indication of your power production. Bottom 4 team in strikeout rate, and I mean lowest strikeout rate in baseball. Top 10 team in walk rate. By the Fangraphs defensive metric, number 1 in baseball. By Fangraphs base running metric, number 3 in baseball. We just talked a lot about the starting pitching. Recently touched on the high leverage relievers. Really good group. I think that group is really solid. You have 5-6 guys that you trust at the back of that bullpen. This is a really good team. I don't know what happens in the playoffs. Really hard to predict. If they don't win this division, if they don't make the crazy run to win this division, those 3 games are a toss-up, and you want to avoid them. But this is a good team that can win and go deep in the playoffs because they have a lot of different ways to attack you. There's no doubt that the offense needs to get going. There's no doubt that it needs to be better to win the World Series, to make a deeper run, to feel good about everything. The offense needs to turn a corner and look similar. Maybe not at April levels, but just show me some similarities, and especially Kyle Tucker. But you got to remember how good and well-rounded this team is. They have a lot of different strengths. It's not just one thing. So when people get frustrated and say they only do this, it's just not true. That they're a well-rounded, deep team, and you just right now, because of how things feel, people don't believe that. But we don't know what they're going to look like 6 weeks from now. And if some things start to click, this could be a very dangerous team in October. You just never know what you're going to get in October baseball. But they have a lot of the ingredients to win some games and to make a run.
The only thing I would dispute, Sahadev, is I'm going to defend our sickos and saying that in terms of losing the plot of just like this team, like until proven otherwise, this is not a playoff team. Like we're not talking about we're not talking about the Dodgers. We're not talking about the New England Patriots dynasty, or like the Boston Celtics or the LA Lakers, what they used to be in the NBA. Like I don't know. I think everyone sees the same things here of like an offense that has been lost. Your best player. We've gone over the Kyle Tucker saga just kind of popping up all at once. I think everyone has similar concerns about the pitching staff. So yeah, like I think the Cubs are a good team. They should make the playoffs. I don't think the division is totally out of reach, so it's going to be very difficult. And yeah, nothing happens. No one knows what happens in October. It's the crapshoot. But I still think there's enough like warning signs here. There's enough recent history to have legit questions, and you have to acknowledge the possibility that this could still go off the rails. It's the Cubs, right?
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with all of that. I'm just trying to frame it as like we're not like this isn't like crisis mode just yet. But we could enter there.
That'll be next. Yeah, that'll be like our next episode.
And I certainly feel different about the offense than I did even 10 days ago. So the more evidence, I'm waiting for it to wake up. I believe it will. You hope it's not too late. They've done enough to kind of steady the ship and stay in it and stay atop the wild card. Maybe that's all they need, to be steady during these down moments and win enough and not avoid a complete collapse, because the offense has just not been good enough and it needs to be better. So we'll see what happens this weekend in LA and all week out west. Stay cool out there, and it looks like it's pretty hot in LA. So good luck with that.
Yeah.
And I think it cools down for you in San Francisco. So we'll see how well the Cubs play. How everything goes. Thanks for listening, everyone. This is Northside Territory, Foul Territory Network's Cubs podcast. Make sure to rate, review, subscribe to The Athletic, where Patrick and I are on top of all things Cubs. Thanks for listening, everyone. Take care.